All right, answer to the $1,000,000 question. How do you perform SEO in 2022 or 2023? What works and what doesn't? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you. Hey everyone, I'm John Timmerman. I talk about the world's most exciting sales, business, and marketing strategies so that both you and I can grow our businesses faster. Today we're talking SEO. The other day I was on a call with a friend of mine. They're in a peer group that I'm a part of for entrepreneurs, and they were asking me everything and anything SEO. And it wasn't for my advice, it was more for confirmation that they were doing the right thing. And that made me realize that even people in marketing who are experienced with SEO still need confirmation that what they're doing is the right thing. And that's what this video is for all of you marketers out there, just to hopefully confirm that you're doing the right thing when it comes to SEO. Now, I'm not going to get into the technical Google updates version of whether you're doing the right things for SEO. This is much more for the chief marketing officer, digital marketing manager, the leader, the e-commerce manager, the owner, those of you out there that know, how SEO works, but you just want to make sure that your team is focusing on the right things. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? Okay, thing number one, on-page optimization. It's something you can't avoid. It is something that everyone has to do with their website, and that's all the basic things. No matter what the Google updates tell you, you're going to have to make sure that you have the proper structure, the proper meta descriptions and H1 tags, and even when Google makes an update that says that's not as important, or if they change it and they tell you it is important, it's still important. It's the basic framework. So make sure that every single page on your website that includes blog posts, that includes product pages, that includes about us pages, that includes every single page on your website, like a privacy policy or a terms and condition, is properly updated with a meta description, an H1 tag. Everything has something that tells Google what the page is, what the picture is, what the asset is, even the things that are downloadables on your website. They all need to be properly organized and have the correlating tags with them. So make sure that the technical aspect is done. It's easy. Honestly, you could go and hire a freelancer on Upwork to go through your entire site and just make sure every single thing is checked and every technical SEO aspect is done. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's assume your website is technically optimized. What next? All right, the next most important thing is content. Because without content, there's nothing to link to, which we'll talk about in a minute. And without content, there's nothing to share. And without content, there's nothing for Google to crawl. So content is the next most important thing. Okay, so how do you approach content? Now, there's always the argument of quality over quantity, or quantity over quality, or a mix of quantity and quality. And how do you manage all of that? Well, the easy answer is it's whatever your team can handle. And if you want to scale up, that's when you would hire an agency to do more content for you. So whatever your team can currently handle, let's use blog posts because that's the easiest way to do content. You generally want to have at least one new blog post per month, and that's pretty doable for any business out there. Ideally, you'd like to see at least one every week if you can handle it. We typically, for our clients, try to pack in 2 per week because we feel that it kind of allows us to keep up with our entire framework, which is produce content, build links to it, promote it, and then move on to the next blog post, right? So content is very important. How do we do the content? We use a mix of manual technical writing and AI copywriting, believe it or not. So there's a lot of AI tools popping up all over the place. We typically use Jasper, but there's other ones as well. And we use it as a support system. We don't have the AI tool literally write the whole blog post for us. Here's the process that we go through. Step number 1, you go over to a program like SEMrush or Ahrefs and you do some keyword research. You can also go into Google's keyword tool, but we typically use one of these software programs and we plug in just a natural search that we would do for the topic that we're thinking about. And we see what the recommended terms are, what the related terms are, what the matching terms are, and some of the suggested terms. All right, we search the volume and we typically try to pick a medium volume term in that particular industry. The reason we don't pick really super high volume is that those are typically much more competitive. All right, so we're picking medium volume terms, medium to high volume terms. In some cases, we'll go low if it's a trending topic that's still on its way up or it's a brand new thing. Think crypto in early 2020, right? Or 2019 rather. Emerging topic, not super crazy, well-known or talked about yet, but on its way up. So that's what we'll do is we'll pick the keyword, right? Then what we do is we take that and we get the general information. Again, we confirm volume, and then we plug it into a program, something like Surfer SEO, which will help us make recommendations for alternative keywords that we're going to want to put into that post, right? And Surfer SEO is a great program because you can plug in the keyword and the general topic, and it will recommend titles for you. It will recommend the H1 tags, headlines, basically that's what that is. The headlines for there, the subheads, as well as what keywords and how many times to use it throughout the article. Once we get the Surfer SEO report, then what we'll do is we'll take that information and then we will go over to our AI copywriter. And then we'll plug that into Jasper, which it just so happens that Jasper and Surfer SEO have an integration so that you can actually get Surfer SEO inside your Jasper account. Pretty cool little integration. So we'll plug that into Jasper, and then we will use the Surfer SEO recommendations to frame out our blog post. And then we will go paragraph by paragraph and let Jasper expand upon that sort of little overview that we give, that we feed it in the program. Jasper will expand it, and then whoever's writing that copy will then see what it writes. We'll go through, ghostwrite, rewrite, copy, edit until that paragraph sounds good, and then they'll go on to the next paragraph and do the next thing. Then we'll take all of this, once it's done, we'll export it out of Jasper, and we'll put it into a Google Doc. And then in the Google Doc is where we start to add things like images or GIFs or resources like downloadable worksheets and things like that that are going to support that particular blog post. And then that's where we do kind of the fine-tuning and go through with a fine-tooth comb and make sure everything is organized and looks nice and is very readable, has a good reader experience. And then once that is done, then we will go ahead, plug it into WordPress if that's where we're posting it, and we'll schedule it out to be posted in line with that content calendar. Okay, whew. All right, that's content. All right. Now, a little sub note or side note I would say is that content isn't just blog posts, okay? So you still should go through, if you're an e-commerce site, you still need to go through the content on your product pages. In fact, that's even more important than blog posting. So using the same general framework for product postings that we use for blog posts is good. So again, looking at the keyword that we want to rank for based on the product, plugging it into Ahrefs or SEMrush to see what keywords are out there, plugging into Surfer SEO to get keyword recommendations and title suggestions, and then putting that into the product page. The difference is we typically don't use something like Jasper to write product content because it's often shorter and much more technical. So if you're a B2B site, then your products are going to be probably services in most cases. So we'll do the same type of thing that we do for the products for the services page. Keyword research, plug it into Surfer SEO, get a basic structure, and then we'll start to write it. But instead of using AI, again, we'll manually write it. All right. So that's a lot of the content that we're talking about, the written content. And I guess a side note to the side note is that other types of content that could perform well would be embedded content into your service pages, your product pages, or your blog posts. So this would be like free resources. Checklists on how to save money on taxes if you're an accounting firm, or checklists on, the best PPC practices if you're a marketing firm. This type of content can be very valuable and also help you rank in Google as well, right? So that's another type of content, but that's another video altogether. That relies on your deep industry experience in creating a good downloadable worksheet or PDF that somebody actually cares about, right? So that's the content bubble. Okay, on to link building. Link building is probably the next most important step, and this is the part where it is another battle of quantity over quality, okay? Quality is always better than quantity in links. However, when you're first starting out, you might need to go after quantity. Lower DR or domain authority ranking posts or websites, right? You're kind of typically going to be able to get like a DR of like 10 or 20, maybe 30, and you can start to get those relatively easy by offering resources. So again, going back to that content, that downloadable worksheet or something that might be valuable in an industry, reaching out to a blog with like a domain authority of 20 or 30 and saying, hey, I've got this great resource. You want to post it on your website somewhere. Offer it to your visitors for free. All we ask is that you just give us credit for it. And then you do that by doing mass outreach on email. You find a list of all of the blogs in your industry. You can do that in SEMrush or Ahrefs, as well as manual outreach. And you reach out to them, and it's just negotiation from here. There's no secret sauce. It's not like technically like use this, way to convince somebody to post it. It's just be valuable. Create a valuable piece of content. Reach out and say, here's this awesome tool. Do you want to put it on your website? Of course, we're going to ask for a backlink, but here's the value to you and here's the value to us. And you'll get 10% maybe to say yes. All right. And there's your first backlinks. Then you're going to want to enhance those pieces of content. So instead of just having a simple Google Sheet, downloadable Google Sheet that they can use, when you start to reach out to higher domain authority blogs or websites into the 50 range, they might want to share credit. So this is where we found it successful to take those same resources, brand it to them and say, hey, we made this for you. Do you want to offer it to your audience? All we ask is that you put a little link below it that says inspired by, and then you link back to us. A lot of times they'll say yes, all right, because they don't have to do any work and they're providing their audience with something really valuable that looks like they made it. So those are kind of two early strategies to increase your link building and get backlinks. There are other ways to do it when you start to go after the big whales in the industry, the high domain authority or domain rating blogs or websites. And this is where it really gets into like unique content created between the two of you, high negotiation of like long-term relationships. I'm not going to get into that in this video right now, but make sure you have a good solid link building strategy. And it's not just relying on commenting on posts and all of that old school stuff, because that doesn't really provide a ton of value. And Google is really looking for high value relationships between websites. That's where those link building strategies really come in handy. Okay, and then the final thing I'm going to touch on today is refreshing your content. All right, so we're going full circle back to content. Once you post a piece of content, most businesses, most people, even a lot of agencies just leave it. It's not a good idea. At least you're leaving money on the table, because you should be going back every month to previous posts that you've written or that you've posted that are doing well, and you should be trying to make them even better, making the resources even better, making the pieces of the content that maybe you skimped on early, expanding them even more, making them even better to try to get better rankings. And then you should be going back to the previous posts that weren't performing well, trying to figure out why they didn't perform well, maybe changing some of the keywords in there, changing some of the wording in there, changing some of the resources in there to try to get that to rank better. If you use this overall process of revisiting your content, you will have this constant snowball of climbing rankings in all of your content. It's a lot of work, hence why people hire agencies like us. It's just a ton of work, okay? It's not rocket science, it's just a ton of work. Whew, okay, well, that's it. Those are my tips. Those are my 4 tips. I did 4, right? I think it was 4 tips. Those are my 4 tips on how to crush SEO in 2022, 2023, and I have a feeling it's not gonna change much when we head into 2024, 2025, but I'm sure I will do more videos by then. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video. Oh, and don't forget to head over to my website, jtimmerman.com, where I release a bunch of free resources like checklists and templates that you can use in your own business. It's free. I just need your email address so that I can connect with you and do the whole funnel strategy thing. But I promise I'm good. I add a lot of value. So head over to jtimmerman.com and find all those free resources. I'll see you in the next video.